How we doing, everybody? Tim from Ski-Rex Media with you once again. Yes, once again, talking more about skiing, snowboarding, snow sports, all kinds of stuff. Again, with people from all over the world. And this time we're going just north into Canada. But it's more than that. Today, for this episode, it's all about tech. You like technology? I love technology. I say exploit it while it's here, use it while it's here, enjoy it. We're going to be talking about the Communiski App with the head person in charge over there. We'll get to that, but first, like I've been doing for weeks now, and I don't care if you're sick of it, I'm going to keep doing it. Whaleback Mountain, one of my favorite places, my home mountain, as I say, 15 minutes from the Ski-Rex Media HQ right over there in Enfield, New Hampshire. Yes, I am in Vermont, but I'm right on the border. That's right, I'm a border person. I'm in a border town. Whaleback Mountain is great. It is small. That's fine. It has everything you can ever want. You want easy groomers? They got it. You want natural, not groomed stuff? They got that too. They will wear you out. Believe me, I've left that hill panting. You need to learn how to do it? They got you covered. You want to ski at night? They got you covered. You want a decent price ticket and pass? They got you double covered. It's one of the best deals you can get in this area and in the region of New England. Whaleback Mountain, also one of the most accessible ski mountains I've ever seen and ever been to. It has its own exit off the interstate. That's right, if you're tooling down I-89, you get to exit 16, jump off 1 mile right down the road. You can see it, is Whaleback Mountain. Check that out. Ski there, snowboard there. Just go visit there if you want to. It's wonderful. It's great. I love it. I love the people there. They love me. It's a wonderful time. Whaleback Mountain, ski it to believe it. And Whaleback Mountain is, I'm looking at it right now here on my phone. I'm looking at the Communiski App. If you want to follow along, go download that now, iOS and Android. I use Android, so that's what we'll be using today. If you have iOS, I'm sure the UI is very similar, but we'll get into that. Today, we're talking to Charlie Walker. I kept him here on hold for long enough. Charlie, how you doing, man?
I'm very well, Tim. Thank you very much for having me along today.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm very interested because the app thing is now such a big part of our lives, and there are other ski apps. If I reference any other ones, it's not kind of trying to push a competitor by any means. I wouldn't do that. But I have used Slopes, and that's the only one I've ever used, so that's the only one I can make a comparison to, which we don't even need to do. But before we actually get into the app, the inner workings, let's get into you, Charlie. Let's start with first who you are and what you do with Communiski.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, my name's Charlie, and as you can probably tell by my accent, I'm originally from the UK. Which is where I grew up, and I now live in Canada. I've been living up here for the last 3 years or so. So my early ski career, because that's what we're here to talk about, so I'll very much focus my background on the skiing side of things, was very much a week a year trip, either a family trip or a school trip to somewhere in Europe. And that's how most people over in Europe ski. It's a week's holiday once a year rather than the sort of weekend trips that are probably more common over this side of the pond. Always loved skiing. My parents skied. My dad was a big skier. And when I was 18, I went and worked a ski season before going off to university in France. Had an amazing time out there. It was just a 5-month party, to be honest, with a bit of skiing thrown in along the way. A bunch of 18-year-olds working in hotels in the French Alps was definitely a good way to spend a winter back then. And we really lucked out that year with the snow. We had an incredible snow year. Europe can sometimes be a little bit sketchy at times, but we had a really good year. One year we had 5 foot of snow overnight, which was insane. My manager's car was written off by a snowplow because it didn't know it was there on the side of the road. That's how much. Yeah, we were like somersaulting off 4-floor balconies and just landing into the snow. It was that soft. Nothing hurt. It was incredible. So yeah, I had a really good season then in Europe, and then I came back and I went to university and spent some time traveling, went back to university. And then I found myself working for one of the big 4 accounting firms and training to be a chartered accountant. And I will skim over that side of my life fairly quickly because this is a ski podcast. And if I start talking about accounting, then I'm going to lose listeners pretty quickly.
You never know.
But I realized fairly early on that it wasn't the right career for me, the big corporate world, and I ended up quitting the day I qualified. And I knew that was coming some time in advance. The way that it works is you end up needing to have so many hours to qualify, and that's always the last thing that you end up ticking off. So pretty much the day that you're going to qualify, you can work that out quite some time in advance. So I ended up leaving in February. I'd already bought my season pass for Crested Butte in Colorado in August. So it was planned some time in advance. I had a brother who was working out there and had been out there for a couple of seasons. And I'd got an idea for a software product that was nothing to do with skiing. It was still in the accounting world. But if I'm going to be sat in a bedroom writing software code, I could do it in the UK where there are 0 ski resorts, or I can do it in Colorado where my brother is and go and spend a couple of months out there. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to ski Crested Butte, but it's quite some mountain, particularly when you've been used to skiing a week a year in Europe. And by that point, I'd been on the snow for 20 years, but I say I learned to ski in Crested Butte.
Nice.
Yeah, it's quite a big mountain. We got again another good snow year. My brother had been there for 2 years, so knew all the locals, and it was very much keep up or don't bother coming. So it was quite a steep learning curve out there, but that really sort of properly cemented skiing in my career, and my passion for it. Unfortunately, for the next few years, I didn't actually get to ski because I was building up a business from scratch, and I didn't have the time or the money to be able to do it. But eventually that business sort of took off, and I got back on the snow, and I sold that business in 2017. And I didn't sort of make a huge amount of it, definitely nowhere near retirement money. But it did give me a bit of time to sort of think and focus on what I really want to do with the rest of my life. Accounting wasn't passionate for me. I could do it, I was good at it, but it wasn't where my passion was. And I spent some time exploring a few different ideas and eventually realized what I'm really passionate about is skiing. That's what I want to do. A week or two a year is nowhere near enough. I want to be skiing for 6-7 months of the year and still thinking about skiing for the other 5 or 6 months of the year. And so I knew that my next career was going to be something to do with skiing. I was toying with the idea of doing a road trip around the US, and I was still living in the UK at the time, but I'd got a buddy up in Canada who lived in Calgary, and I was trying to talk him into a road trip. And then literally just as I was starting this, trying to persuade him to take a couple of months off work and come and do some skiing. And he'd only started skiing a couple of years before when he moved to Canada, so he'd not been on the snow long himself. And then they announced the Icon Pass for the first year, and I was like, right, well, this is an easy win, because it makes the lift ticket situation, cost wise, so much more effective. So we got the Icon base pass, and we spent 2 months from February 19 road tripping from Calgary down to California, and hit up most of the Icon resorts that were on the pass at the time on the way down. It was quite some road trip. We skied every day but one for 2 months straight.
Road trip and a half. Round the cover, number one. And then skiing and driving each day, not pulling in, hanging out, and then moving on. That's a road trip, kid. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of sort of half-day ski in the morning and get somewhere in the afternoon, or ski the morning and then head off early afternoon to make our way to the next destination. But the day we drove from Trail to Bozeman in a complete whiteout, we didn't get to ski. But every other day on that trip, we got planks on.
That's awesome. And I've heard that run in through Montana can be something else with the snow just hitting you and slowing you down. That's great, man.
So, I mean, to me, that was an excuse to do a 2-month ski road trip, but it was also about researching what I was going to do. I knew I was going to do something in the ski world. I knew it was going to be tech related, but I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I took that opportunity to speak to as many people as I could on the road. It was pre-COVID, so you could chat to everyone on the ski lifts. I'd speak to people in the bars afterwards. I'd chat to other campers in the parking lots. I'd speak to staff in queues and just sort of find out what the industry needs and where it is. And there were a couple of things that came apparent fairly sort of quickly. Firstly, the industry does not do tech very well as a whole. The whole industry is generally behind the times on tech and not really leveraging it anywhere near its full potential. There are some notable exceptions to that, but on the whole, that was kind of what I got, particularly at some of the smaller mountains. Okay. And the other thing was there was not a single app out there that met everybody's need. If you're a skier and you're into using technology and an app, you can't really get by with one app because you need something for weather. You need something for GPS tracking if you're into that. You need some way of communicating and catching up with your ski buddies and find out when they're going and which hill they're going to be hitting up and those sorts of things. And you need a different app for all of these sorts of things. And then on top of that, a bunch of resorts have got their own apps. A bunch of resorts don't. But one thing that skiers definitely don't want to do is have to download a new app at every mountain they visit and then work out how to use it and what's different between this and the other one. How do I find a piece map? Why can't I do this that I could do on that mountain's app? And all of those sorts of things. And I get that some mountains are very proud of their apps and they've probably put a bunch of money into them. But the reality is that they're not used to anywhere near their full potential. Locals don't see that they need them because they know the mountain. They've been there their whole lives. This app's not really adding a huge amount to me. And a lot of visitors have already got some apps on, maybe they have got their home mountains app or they've got some other app that they're already using for GPS tracking. And when they come and visit your mountain, there's not a huge incentive to get that app downloaded. And I don't personally believe that those single mountain apps are the way forwards. And so that's sort of where the idea for Communiski came from, was bringing together all of this functionality into one place. And then the more I started thinking about this, the more it sort of snowballed into it shouldn't just be the skiers and the snowboarders that we're appealing to. We need to work with the resorts and get them on board. But we wanted to go beyond that and really immerse the whole industry and bring it together into a single place. So we're developing features for the local businesses to help them sort of promote their services and what they can offer, which just helps round out a ski trip if you're doing some other things that are off mountain, or making it easy to find those restaurants or bars that have got the best reviews and that sort of information, and keeping things sort of very ski focused and ski specific. There's a bunch of information out there on hotels. You can go to hotels.com or booking.com and search for a hotel in a ski resort, but the search criteria that you're given are generic for any hotel search. They're not necessarily going to help find you somewhere that's got a ski shuttle, or that's got ski lockers, or that's got somewhere sensible to hang up your wet clothing at the end of the day and dry it. And you'd be surprised at how many hotels near ski towns you get to and you're like, this hotel is really nice, but it's just not practical for someone on a ski holiday. It's fancy and it's great, but I prefer something a bit more basic and just a decent boot rack to stick my boots on when I come in the door. And so we want to sort of develop features that are focused to the ski industry and really help people connect with those businesses that are serving the ski industry, and those businesses that have gone out of the way to help skiers and snowboarders on their trips. We want to bring them to the front of our search results, rather than the ones that have paid the most or giving the most commission, or however hotels.com and booking.com and the rest of them choose to order their search results. So that's sort of where the idea for Communiski sort of came from. It was from speaking to literally hundreds of skiers and resort employees and and just people that work in the industry on that trip.
And that's great. This is what we've learned about Charlie so far. He's a ski bum legit. Like, he's not just some app developer trying to make a couple bucks. Ski bum legit, been there, does it a lot. And two, did not pay someone for his research, was doing it while ski bumming. You really can't beat that for first-hand knowledge. And which is great. I think that is the best way to do it. And those research firms cost a lot of money. You can save a couple bucks just doing it yourself. Now, he's not kidding. The app so far, Communiski, iOS and Android. And again, I'm using Android. So when I talk about it, it's going to be for Android. But I'm sure the iOS UI is the same.
Yeah, pretty much the same, yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're square. Now I'm looking at Whaleback. Now Whaleback is a very, very small mountain. They do have a website, but they do not have an app, and they are independent. So they are not part of, they're not on the Epic Pass. They're not on the Icon Pass. They're not owned by Altira or Vail or whomever else is out there. But their page, when you bring it up, and the search is very easy. Go to the top, you click Canada or USA, and then find your state if you're in the USA, which I am. And then that's what I did. USA, New Hampshire, boom, Whaleback right there. Now, as you said, as a local, I don't really need the app, and again, I work with those guys. I know those guys. Shout out John Hunt, shout out Alex, shout out everybody over there. I love those guys. But it looks and feels, once you're on that mountain, that it's just the Whaleback app. So what you're providing, it feels like to me, is just everybody their own app in yours.
Yep, absolutely. And like you say, it looks and feels like Whaleback's app when you're on the Whaleback pages. It's branded in their colors. It has their logo, and that's the same for the 400 resorts across North America that we've got loaded into the app at the moment. So whichever resort you're at, you get an app that feels like that resort's app, but it looks and works in the way that you're familiar with, because it's exactly the same at every resort.
Yeah, it really is kind of wonderful, because I was clicking around and I went to some of the other places that are nearby to me that I would go to, say the Dartmouth Skiway, say Saskadina 6. That's something. I didn't put it in yet. We'll get to things you can add, community editions. So I'll come back around and get to what I was going to say there. But when you go in, it's very simple. You want runs, you tap runs. You want lifts, you tap lifts. You want tickets, hotels, all this stuff. It's very easy, very simple. You go into hotels, it even asks you, what rating you want, the amenities in it, and the distance, which is kind of wonderful. Because a place like Saskadina 6 or Dartmouth Skiway, they're out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing near there. You got to go at least 10 miles before you find something. So it seems to me you guys set this up very, very well. And again, you did that with your own research. Say to, hey, people, would this be helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we obviously went through a bunch of other apps and thought, what do we like, what they're doing, what don't we like? We spoke to a bunch of people, mocked up prototypes and bashed them around. This app is going to be developed for a long time. This is not a one and done thing. We've got a lot, I've got a 3-4 year pipeline of features that we want to develop for this. And so it's going to continually evolve, and we're going to take on user feedback as we go forwards. But we have absolutely tried to get end user feedback involved in the early parts of development.
Very good. And not only just end user feedback direct, but like users seem to be able to change stuff in here. That seems, or at least suggest changes, correct?
Yeah. So we want this resort or this app to work at all 400 plus resorts across North America, and we would love to be working directly with all of those 400 resorts and for them to use Communiski as their official app. But we're realistic, and that's not going to happen. And it's going to take some time for us to start building up and getting resorts on board. But we still want the app to work everywhere. And again, we're a small startup. We don't have the resources to employ a team to continually be making sure that every lift run at every resort, all of that information is up to date, let alone all of the information on the bars, the restaurants, the hotels, the shops, the tour providers, activity providers, etc., all of that information. So we've built it so that the community can contribute and can recommend updates. And so if they spot something that's missing or something that's incorrect, they can come in and fix it. And we've got an approvals process to prevent abuse, and we've got some controls so that the resorts that are actively managing their mountain can manage that approval process themselves. Otherwise, we hand it over to the community with a sort of upvote, downvote sort of process to make sure that we've not just got people abusing it. With the goal of creating the most up-to-date resort database eventually for every resort in the world, that will translate into whatever language you happen to use as your primary language. We're not there yet for this season. We're already available in English, but the idea is that, particularly with the Icon Pass and the Epic Pass opening up their global destinations, I think we will see over the coming years more people traveling internationally, and to be able to go and use the same app in a resort in Japan that shows you all of that information in English is going to be a game changer, I think, for people, making it easier and more accessible for people to travel to these sorts of places.
I think you're right. Like I myself, I would love to travel just even further around the United States, but also into Canada. I'm an Indy Pass skier, so I have U.S. and Canada for days. I can ski all over those countries.
Yeah, I have the Indy Pass too.
I'm sure Doug will be more than happy to hear that. I do know that they work with one of your competitors, and shout out to Rob Green. He and I were talking about that too, but that's okay. We'll get into
Yeah, that's cool. We'll win Doug over at some point.
There you go. I love the confidence. Now, it's great to hear not just now using user feedback. It's a great selling point. It's really kind of cool. It makes you feel like you're, helping out, but you're not wrong to get done what you would have to get done logistically. There's no way you could have a staff like that. You would have to have one person in every ski town on the planet, at least one person, to get that done. So without the user feedback, there's no way this would be possible, I don't think.
Exactly. And that's sort of where we want to bring the community together to help share their knowledge and what they know about their local mountain or the places that they're discovering at the things they're discovering at the places they're visiting, and share that information with the community. And to encourage that, we've built in a rewards program. So you earn snow points as you contribute to the community. And the goal is you'll be able to spend those snow points for sort of real world goodies in our snow point store. So sort of lift tickets, on mountain food, hard and soft gear, season passes eventually. So the idea is that we create this sort of circle where people contribute, but they get rewarded for doing that.
Awesome. Now, I actually did a contribution just to test this out. And again, the app is out there, but there are still things coming online. There's still stuff that's being worked out. But I wanted to try it. So I tried it. And one of the things I did is I went to Whaleback Mountain as, just throwing out there my user knowledge or whatever. I only changed one thing. It's summit chair. All the lengths and vertical and elevations look right. I can't remember offhand, but then again, I can barely remember my known name from day to day. But the occupancy, it was unknown. So I threw the 2 in there. It's a double chair. I know that. And now when you look at it, when I'm looking at it, I see a thumb up or a thumb down. This is correct. This is wrong. If anyone says I'm wrong, I'm not wrong. I am right. And there's a history. It says Ski-Rex Media. I did put the business name in, not my real name. I mean, I don't care, but whatever. And it says 2. So it not only shows what you've done, but what others have done to make this correct or incorrect, which again was like you said, part of the systems you have in place to make sure people aren't just jerking around.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's part of the transparency as well. When users are contributing stuff, we want them to know that information has been heard. Whether the community agrees with it or disagrees with it is out of our control. But and people can see that history. So as a lift maybe evolves over time and gets upgraded, they can see, okay, it used to be a 3-man chair and it's now a 6-man chair. So yeah.
It has a ton of features like for this. Like we both said, it is like I'm looking at Whaleback, and you can pick your, you can tap favorite, and now you have a favorites list, so you can build up. You don't have to go back through and look for everything. It immediately came up with today's offers at Whaleback Mountain. And again, there's nothing there yet. The season hasn't started. We're still working things out here, but it has everything you want, or maybe even things you don't want or didn't even know you needed. Like, it really is the combination of everything, because again, I use slopes and I used it mostly for tracking. I like mapping data. I like GPS data. I like looking at maps. And it has, the friends list, so it has the social media kind of aspect. But your app here takes that to a whole, because that's like the two big features that app seems to have. Like, it tells you where you are, it gives you your stats, it tells you where your friends are at the place, and that's it.
Yeah.
It seems to, and again, as you said, your goal is to take that and then all this from the other and all this from another, and boom, here it all is. Now, the social part, when you look at where your friends are, like, man, you can find new friends, you can find your current friends, you can, send them a request, they'll send you a request. You can even schedule your friends' ski trips through this app.
Yep. That's the goal. So yeah, we've got our ski groups feature, and this actually came from an idea I had when my wife, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, she was my girlfriend, but when she was learning to ski, she learned after we met, because that needed to happen. So yeah, but for the first few years that we skied together, she was very much skiing different terrain to me, and we'd meet up in the morning and we'd do a few laps together, and then she'd take a lesson or go and ski some greens and blues, and I'd go off and find something more fun. And then we'd meet up again. But we both did quite a lot of skiing alone, and it would have been great if there was some way just to find people to ski with, and I'd chat to people on ski lifts, and you'd find people to take a few laps with, which was awesome. But it would have been better if I'd just had an app and could go and see, right, who's at Jackson Hole today? Let's go and play. And so that's where the idea for our ski groups functionality came from. So you can create a group and push that out there and then say, hey, I'm going to be skiing at Whaleback on Sunday. And then all of your buddies, if they've chosen to receive notifications when you say you're going skiing, will get a notification saying, hey, Tim's going skiing at Whaleback on Sunday. And there's a group with a chat room that you can then chat to arrange ride sharing, where you're going to meet up, whatever you need to. And you can, just go in and see a list of all of the places where your buddies are planning to ski coming up. Or you can create an open group and say, hey, I'm going to be at Whaleback, no one to ski with. This is the sort of terrain I'm going to be skiing. Anyone who wants to come and join me, let's go and take some laps. And then people can browse the open groups and see that, send you a message and take it from there.
It really is functional. Like, you don't even have to talk to your friends if you don't want to. Like, if you just want to talk to them for ski days, you just look it up. And it's really great. I've done it. I put in a resort, I put in a date, and again, I just started. I don't have anybody else, anybody's on this yet, but it will tell you buddy's upcoming plans. And it says I don't have any, obviously, but it will tell you the open groups. If you're like, I'm pretty sure Ski Expedia is going to have the open group set up for wherever I am during the year. So keep an eye out for that, kids, because I am going to use this. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be going through this app all year, and it should be great. Especially for me, because I like to drive around, and while typically I am alone, don't have to be. And that's a beautiful thing. We've all talked about it. One of the things that really blew about the pandemic season was it wasn't as social a sport as it always has been, and that it is a social sport, and you've taken that into account.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, that's what it's about. Skiing is more fun if you're doing it with friends, and it's safer. Like, there's no question that we spent quite some time at Jackson Hole, and I definitely skied a bunch of lines I definitely shouldn't have done alone. And I got away with it, but there's no question that looking back at it, that I made some questionable decisions there. And it would definitely have been safer to have had someone else to ski with. And it it really is more fun. I definitely prefer skiing with other people. And sometimes your normal ski buddies aren't around. And so just being able to find some new people that, hey, might show you some new lines, some new spots you've not discovered before.
Oh, totally. If you can make a friend on any given day at any mountain, anywhere in the world. And this just makes it easier. Again, it's like adding the social component. So many people use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, what have you. This gives you a small taste of that right in. And again, now you don't need 20 different apps. You just made one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to be very careful with the social side of things to keep things focused around winter sports, and to stop the mindless scrolling. I'm quite anti social media. I don't really use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or any of them. And I don't get the just spending hours scrolling through mindless videos and mindless posts just so they can show you more adverts. And so at the moment we don't have a feed like that in Communiski. It will be coming at some point in the future, but I'm working at how to do it so that it's not taking people away from real life. I don't want to keep people glued to their phones. I want people to use their phones as a tool to help them enjoy the mountains in winter. And to get off their phones and be getting out there and living life. Like, life shouldn't be lived through a screen. We should use that to facilitate life, not to be life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Use it as a tool, man. I mean, in all, paper maps are going away. Just environmentally unfriendly and just a pain to make, and it's just not worth making them anymore. Boom, yeah. It's right here. And that the social, I don't even think you would need the feed style. Like, I really don't. Everything is right there. You got your basic profile when you sign in. I have mine. It says SkiRex Media, the SkiRex Media email address, the SkiRex Media phone number, ad stuff, which one you do, how good you are, the type of terrain, and the passes you use. And what more do you need, especially when it's going to be someone like, wait, what does person X actually do? All right, I'm going to go hang out with them.
Yeah, so an interesting point you just mentioned there. I forgot about this, but yeah, you tell Communiski which passes you hold. Any business out there, any restaurant, bar, hotel can claim ownership of their business within Communiski, or add it if it's not already in there. They can then say, hey, I offer Whaleback pass holders a 10% discount, and we will then highlight that in the search results to you because you have told us that you hold a Whaleback season pass, and we match that up and highlight that discount to you as a pass holder,
which is very awesome too. That's true. We have both alluded to it, you especially, that you're searching hotels, but it's not just a search engine. You're going to see, Ski Hotel 1, Ski Hotel 2, Ski Restaurant A, Ski Restaurant B, and it's also going to feel like their own branded stuff as well, like their website and or app and or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. The businesses can brand their business page within Communiski. They can add their own logo. They can make it look and feel like their brand,
which is awesome. You never know, kids. You might see SkiRex Media pop up on this thing. I don't know how that would work, since I'm just a small little media company, but you never know. I might figure something out and jump on this too. Plus, I like to be part of a group. I don't like to be alone. And like you said, 400 plus mountains on there now, with room for others. Like, I see some, like I went into Vermont, New Hampshire. That's my areas. That's what I know the most. And I see a lot of bigger places. And by bigger, I mean as up to the size of like Killington here in Vermont, or like Loon and Cannon and all those out there. And again, you're talking different passes, Icon, Epic, Independence. There's small places like Northeast Slopes or Cochrane's, these places that only have like surface lifts a little bit, but it's open to them as well.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many of those sort of, we call them bunny or rabbit hills, all over the country, that are such an important part of the industry. They're often people's first experience on snow, and they're absolutely welcome to jump on board the app. We don't discriminate based on size. They're just a little bit harder to find the information out about and find decent listings of them so that we can get them added. But as soon as someone lets us know that we're missing something, we'll absolutely get it added.
That, man, they're right on top of it, or as best you can. Again, you're now dealing with hundreds of hills and of different shapes, sizes, areas, languages, all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of hard work. I'm surprised you even have time to talk to me.
It is a lot. I will definitely say I probably work more than the average person, but and particularly over the summer, and that's sort of how we, as a company, and deliberately how I've set up our development cycle, is that's where the bulk of the development work goes on to free up time to ski and enjoy the winter. Our whole team are skiers or snowboarders, and it's important for me that they get out and ski in the winter as well.
Very good. Very good. And like I said, we've been going over all the kinds of different things. Again, learning the local area. If you don't know it, it's got it here. The mountain itself, it's got it here. Non-ski or snowboard related activities, I'm sure you can find around. I know, say you ski at the Hermitage Club or Mount Snow, two places which I grew up near, but I know there's places that do like snowmobiling. I know there's places that do like the nighttime cold horse-drawn snow carriages. I know there's all kinds of stuff like that, and all of that will be in here too.
Absolutely. I mean, any business can come and add their products and services into the app and resell them directly through that. So that's the goal, is to build up all of these non-skiing activities as well as the skiing activities and the on-mountain activities, and get people on the snow more. But if people are having just a more fun trip in general, the chances of them coming back next year are greater, right? The more fun you have, the more chance you're going to do it again.
Absolutely. Now, with that, I saw, it seemed to me, and again, I didn't get to look through every single state and province, but is it all alpine places right now, or is there cross country in there as well?
No, at the moment it is just the alpine places. We absolutely will be adding cross country to it, and backcountry eventually as well.
You're going to have everybody covered. It's wonderful. And speaking of having everybody covered, something that is also done, again, we've been going through feature, and we've talked about the ski groups, the GPS tracking, weather, local area. It seems like you're going to be able to work with the mountains to book lessons or other activities on hill right in there, buy tickets. Again, it speaks to having your own app as a mountain who wouldn't necessarily have their own.
Absolutely. And I think, particularly for those smaller resorts, the indie size resorts and smaller, that, as you say, whaleback don't have an app, and realistically they never will. They're never going to invest the money or the time into it, and they can get on board with Communiski and start using the features that they want to. That's something else that we sort of have for the resorts, is we don't have you have to use Communiski for everything. They can get on board to whatever extent they want, and pick and choose the services that they want to. And all of our core resort functionality is free for the resorts as well. So the resort can come in, take ownership of their branding, update their logo if they need to. They can manage their lift and run statuses in real time. And all of that is completely free for the resorts.
Oh, wow. So they can get in on ground level, and then they want to do more, they can do more, or they can do a little more, or they can go full bore. That's awesome. I really love that. I love that you're going to get the cross-country thing in there. That's something I'm going to get back into myself. In fact, we talked to Reese Brown, head of the Cross Country Ski Area Association, here on the program just recently. So make sure you check that one out if you haven't. Reese Brown, very, very interesting guy, knows everything there is to know about cross-country. And now I'm looking here, and it says one of the things you're going to be, again, you said 3 or 4 year rollout of all kinds of different features. I can only imagine what you could come up with in that time period. Like, it's a short amount of time, but as long as your imagination is free flow and you're good, you have new ideas for competitive winter sports. What do you got there?
So, I kind of, my view of competitive winter sports at the moment is that it doesn't attract people into the sport. And it's not doing a great job of that. And it's something that actually on one of your earlier podcasts, I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of this season's, where you were talking about wanting to get skiing on TV more. And I think there are a lot of challenges with the current competitive sports that are out there that don't make it a good TV sport. One of which is that it's less relatable than other sports. And what I mean by that is if you're out playing soccer or you're playing American football at school or college, or you play tennis or you play golf, if you do any of these sports, what you see on TV is pretty much the same as what you do yourself. Yep. When you watch skiing on TV, it is nothing like what you do yourself, other than you've got skis on and you're on snow. But your average skier doesn't do slalom, doesn't do downhill. It's actually quite a different sport recreationally to competitively.
I fully agree with you. Like, you pick up a basketball, maybe you're not as good as LeBron, but you're playing the same game.
Yeah. The other challenge with competitive sports is it's incredibly difficult to get into without knowing that that's what you want to do. It's very difficult to sort of dabble in speed skiing, or dabble in slalom. You've got to join a club. You've got to probably buy some gear. You've kind of got to commit to doing this before you even know if you like it. And I think there are some ways that we can sort of adapt the whole competitive industry to make competition more appealing to your casual recreational skier, to change some of the focus of competition and maybe bring in some new types of competition. Again, I really don't want to offend anyone here, but I think downhill and slalom aren't as appealing to watch if you're not already into that sport. I mean, I generally don't watch a lot of competitive skiing, and skiing is my life, my biggest passion. I'll watch some of the X Games, I'll watch some of the Big Air because I find that interesting and, that's exciting, and some of the slope style and those sorts of competitions. I think they've got a higher chance of attracting a TV audience than the more traditional slalom, giant slalom, those sorts of competitions. And I think that trying to change the competitive landscape more towards that, bringing in competitions over shorter form courses that allow for a better crowd to watch and to congregate and things, and taking some things from elsewhere in the sports. I think trying to bring a team aspect to it. And I've got some ideas around this that are still early in the making, so I won't go into too much detail, but trying to take it from the very individual sport that it is at the moment and make it more of a team sport. And thinking along the lines of the sort of team gymnastics model, where you've got a team that with a bunch of different like mini competitions, and you put different members of the team forward to a number of different competitions each, that come together to one sort of big team score, that I think might be better at engaging people across different levels, make it accessible from a really, really low level, and make it maybe easier to rally behind a team than an individual who, if they have a season off from injury, their support base has got nowhere to go for that season. Whereas if the team member changes for a season because someone's sitting out, that you've still got a team to support and get behind. So these are, I'm thinking a long way down the line. Once we've got some scale and we've got a bunch of users behind us, and we can start bouncing some of these ideas around the community, getting some feedback, and trying to come up with some ways that we can modernize the sport and make it more appealing to the TV audiences and more appealing to get behind, and as a result encourage more people into the sport and get more people sliding.
I like that, and I agree with you fully. It's I've told people it's not easy to find on the television, on streaming. It makes it a little easier, but not always, especially since the big competitions are international, and we've seen the last couple of Olympics. If you lived on the East Coast of the United States and Canada, you might have to be up at 3 a.m. to see the live, competition. And we also know that pro sports does affect recreational. If the pros seem to like it and look great, people are going to do it. Basketball, American football, soccer, you name it, they'll want to do it. People look at skiing and it's kind of boring. And I get it. If you're not into it, it's watching people go down a hill. It's much more exciting in person, kids. Get out there and see what, shout out to Killington, where the ladies GS and slalom season starts again this year, Black Friday weekend. I will be there as media this time, not just a spectator. Very exciting for me. But you're right. It does need an approach to bring more. We were actually talking about the episode he was referencing as I was talking to Jacob Perkins, the speed skier, and we both said it, here, some of these disciplines, they just don't have the coverage, so no one knows they're there. They don't know how to get into it. So it kind of affects it, and it kind of stinks because we want more people to be into it. We want more people to enjoy it. We don't want anybody to be like, meh, maybe, because you're right. Sometimes you have to decide before you even know. And that's...
Yeah, and I want to make that side of things more accessible. I mean, I want to make skiing and snowboarding just more accessible in general, but I think I'd like to see more low-level competitions just sort of turn up and have a go for not complete beginners. If you're still on green runs, then competition's probably not for you yet. But people who are just popping off little jumps in the park, and let's give them an opportunity to compete against people of their same level for a plastic medal at the end of it. Who cares? It's not about winning anything. It's just about getting people involved and getting them doing things. And I think there's a lot more that we could do on the mountains just to make it a little bit more fun, and encourage people to come back next weekend and do it again and improve, rather than I might come back next month.
Yeah, get into it and enjoy it, love it, find the passion for it. And again, I always say, do it to your level, do it the way you want to do it as much as you can. If you're doing it 5 days, that's great. As long as you're having fun, that's better than the person who did it 1,000 days and they're just doing it for bragging rights. They're not even having fun. Do it, enjoy it, love it. And then if you want to go competitive, ask Benjamin Alexander, Jamaica's first skier. He went from nothing to an Olympic competitor in a very short time. He didn't medal, but that's okay. He got out there, proved he could do it, and had fun doing it. It looked like he had a lot of fun doing it. We like Benjamin here. He's a good guy. Another point you made about Communiski, this one kind of, the novel exit strategy planned. Are you planning to fail?
No, not at all. But what I'm not planning to do is sell this business to the highest bidder so that they can trash what we're creating, as so often happens. And so, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm creating this is a commercial venture that I'm doing. But I wanted to find a way to make sure that what I'm doing stays working for the community. And so what I'm planning is to sell the company one share at a time to the skiers and snowboarders of the world. And you can only buy one share.
Okay.
So eventually, and it's a long-term sort of gradual process, but eventually I will lose control of the company to the industry, to the community. And they will then be able to vote on those decisions, but we'll never get to a situation where one of the big guys out there, whether that's in the ski industry or outside of the ski industry at the moment, sees this as an opportunity to come in and commercialize it more, or to make more money at the expense of the community out of it. And also to remove, that incentive to me to just sell it to the highest bidder. I don't want that. I want to create this for the community, and I want to make sure that it's always in the hands of the community, and it's working for skiers and snowboarders, and not for some big corporate profit.
That's amazing. In the end, not only will, as a community of users, will we be saying, okay, this needs to be fixed. Okay, I did this. Okay, this is really cool. Oh, this is a locals place. Shh, be quiet. And you can checkmark anonymously. So any of you fools who are going to give away local secrets, you don't have to give away yourself and you won't get beat up. But seriously, eventually the community is just going to absorb it. That's great.
Yeah. And just coming back to that point you mentioned there about sort of adding those secret spots, those hidden things that you may not want the whole community to use. We are going to be bringing in functionality that's specifically designed for sharing that sort of information, those non-marked runs, those hidden cliff drops, those sort of really fun features on the mountain that maybe only the locals know about, but controlling access to it. So I mentioned earlier that we reward the community for snow point with snow points when they contribute. Some of that sort of really juicy info that you can't find anywhere else, the only way you'll be able to access that is by exchanging your snow points. So the idea is you contribute to the community, you get more out.
Nice.
And you won't be able to just pay for that. We don't want to just encourage that. I can just throw money at the situation to get that information, because that removes away from what we're doing with the community and sort of encouraging people to contribute. If you've not got the time to spend 5 minutes just filling in a little bit of information here or there just to share your feedback, then why should you get access to the really juicy information that everyone else is sharing?
No, that's awesome. A little bit of incentive, my friends, to really get in there. And again, it's a very user-driven app. Like, if you want to do that, you can build up snow points very quickly. I mean, it even says here how to earn them, which it says you get 100 just for signing up.
There we go.
Invite your friends, 100, missing data, 10, and there's all kinds of different things, including earning snow points if you're tracking your day. It says earn 1 for every kilometer you skied. So if you're one of these people that gets out there from dawn till dusk, you're just racking it up. And that's the kind of person we all want to hear from anyway, because they know everything.
Yeah, exactly. And yep, like you say, you can earn points just by skiing. And we are going to be developing functionality off that GPS data that we collect, which you can send anonymously. By the way, we're very sort of privacy focused as well. We don't collect a lot of personal information about you that we don't need, and pretty much everything you've got the option of posting anonymously. But we can start using that GPS data to start providing real-time information about lifts and lift lines and the whether their lifts are running, whether they're on holds, even if the resort isn't working with us, because we can analyze that GPS data in real time in the same way that Google Maps does to give you real-time traffic information. We want to ultimately be able to do exactly the same for a mountain. So you can go, okay, well, it's busy over there and it's not busy over there. Guess where I'm going? And, try and help spread out some of the traffic at mountains, because it does tend to congregate in certain places. And one of the pieces of feedback that I've had a few times with this is the last thing we need to be doing is putting more people on our mountains. They're already too crowded. Well, I fundamentally disagree with that. I think if we could actually spread the ski traffic out, then we could cope with double the amount of skier days that we have at the moment. It's a case of trying to educate skiers and snowboarders of where to go and when to go. These play into some of the longer term strategies and plans that I have to be able to sort of direct skiers to a different mountain maybe that they may have access to on the same pass. But if it's dumped at one hill and not dumped at another in Colorado, where you've got access to both resorts, then there are some people who don't like powder. In fact, most skiers don't like powder. Those of us that love the 3 foot plus of powder to go and play in, most people just can't ski in that. And we want to send those people to a different mountain where they're going to have a better day, because the sun's going to be shining and there's not going to be spending the whole day wading out of powder and falling over, and not send them to the mountain that might be 30 minutes the other direction, that got a foot of snow and it's going to be a bit colder and windier, but the people that are wanting those conditions don't care about that. And so if we can find ways to sort of direct traffic to where they're going to have the best time rather than everyone just going to the same mountain, then we can start working to spread some of that load out. If we can start working on just the employment culture as a whole to be more flexible, and if there's one good thing that came out of COVID, I think it shows a lot of businesses that being a bit more flexible with staffing, it doesn't necessarily hurt your business. And does it really matter whether they do that work on Wednesday or whether they do it on Thursday evening, Friday evening, and Saturday? And if it doesn't matter, then let them go skiing on Wednesday, because that's when it's going to be dumping powder. And if we can show and generate and collect stats over time that shows businesses, look, if you are more flexible with your employees, they will be more loyal to you and they will work harder. And there are many case studies that have shown this. But I kind of want to try and bring that very much back to the winter sports industry. And if we can just say to employers generally in these towns that are close to ski resorts, look, if it doesn't make a difference when your employees do their work, let them take snow days. They'll make it up at the weekend. You know, it's an optional perk. If it gets abused, withdraw it. But I think what we'll see is more loyal employees who are having more fun skiing, and the businesses actually benefit from that as well. And so, you know, once we've got scale and we've got, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of users across North America, we can launch a campaign that says, right, here's a letter, we want you to email it to your boss. This is what we want them to implement, is where practical, where it doesn't harm the business and it doesn't impact the business in any way, let your employees work more flexibly over winter.
Sure. And with some of the information you can get, again, bringing it back around to where I made the comment about getting research teams and stuff, this costs a lot. I don't think Communiski is going to be that kind of thing where it's going to charge someone $1 million to figure this stuff out.
No. I mean, we're not going to be paying $1 million, so we're not going to be charging anyone else $1 million for this sort of this information. I mean, our goal is to use the app and to use technology to improve the industry for us all, and to get more people out, more people skiing, more people riding, and as a result, the resorts can grow. They can invest in more infrastructure. They can upgrade their lift systems. They can put better ticketing processes in place so that there's not queues at ticket windows. You know, the more people we get in, the more the industry can grow, and we can help address some of those capacity issues that way as well.
Totally. And you know, it's amazing. Again, this speaks to having all the mountains in one place, no matter who owns them, no matter which pass they're on. Especially on the busy days here in Vermont, we know that Stowe this past season and has been just infamous for the auto traffic on the roads and the little town being jam-packed and tons of people just flooding into their Epic Pass Mountain. Just everybody's flooding Stowe and people love it. But right around the corner, not far, is Bolton Valley, independent-owned resort, Indy Pass Resort. Snow's just as awesome. The mountain is great. If you've never been to Bolton Valley, check that out. Shout out to Lindsay Delorier out there who's running the joint. Very cool. She's been on the program a couple times. Great place to go. You could just pop on over around the bend. In fact, you can almost, I think you might even be able to do a little ski touring between them. That's how close they are.
Nice.
You'll spread them out like, oh, I didn't think about going over there. Let's go over there. That's awesome. That's what we need. That's what we need to do. Everybody spread out, because not everybody knows. Like in Vermont, yeah, I could tell you what's pretty much close to what's what and the road to take. Like, no, get off of Route 100. It's going to be jammed. Go this way, this way, this way, this way, and you're fine. But not everybody can do that, and this app speaks to all of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, and ski traffic is something that's a problem for a lot of areas and towns out there. You know, there are, like you say, issues up in the Northeast. There's definitely well-known issues in the Cottonwoods in Utah and I-70 in Colorado. All of these places are known for their challenges, and that traffic simply stops people spending more time on the snow. So that's something else that I think we can help address. I mean, our ski groups functionality right now can be used to find some carpooling. So you can just create a group, say going to Whaleback on Sunday. Anyone want to ride share from wherever it is you live, or anywhere along the route, and you can just use it to ride share either with friends or with other people that aren't yet friends, future friends. Again, long term, we can use some of our data, knowing when and analyzing, skier traffic patterns to start telling local municipalities where they should be running their bus routes, and what times they should be running their bus routes, and actually collecting all of that information and being able to say, right, if you run these buses, we can actually remove this number of cars off your road, and get people to your mountain faster and help addressing some of that. And I know public transport's not as big in North America as it is in Europe, but I think we can, if we put good quality public transport that actually works for people, and saves them time and money, then I think we can start changing some of that. And it's not going to work for everyone, but if we can get some of people onto buses and out of cars with one or two people in, then we can cut the traffic down, and everyone gets to the mountain sooner, and everyone gets half an hour longer on the snow. Absolutely. Or in bed.
Oh yeah. You want to roll it. I get it. Sometimes I like to get that extra half hour sleep myself on ski weekend, but you're not wrong. I've told people I worked at Mount Snow. They say, oh man, now they're going to be charging for parking. I was like, dude, park along the Moo Bus route and get the bus. It drops you off right there, and you don't have to worry about paying for parking, fighting for parking, getting hit in the packed parking lot. Take the bus. It's awesome. I've done it many times in many places. It's a wonderful thing. And again, it speaks to the app being for everyone, just like skiing and snowboards and snow sports and snowboarding are for everyone. The app is for everyone, because some mountain specific apps do have the same ride share, or, hey, I'm looking, I'll drive if 3 or 4 people want to get in my car. Mountain specific apps have that, and maybe the Epic and Icon apps have it too. I don't remember, but not everybody does. And then again, like we said, Whaleback doesn't have an app at all, but now you have 10 people who are using it right here in the Upper Valley. Say, we got a van and we're going. Who wants to go? Done.
Yeah, and the other challenge with those single resort apps is, if you've got 4 or 5 resorts in your area that you might ski on any given weekend, are you going to have all of their apps and check for ride shares against all of them? Being able to see the ride shares are all in one place of, right, okay, on Sunday, Tim's going to Whaleback, Joe's going to somewhere else, which group do I want to get involved in? All in one place without having to switch from app to app to app and app. We just get people who want to snow more. That's what matters.
It is. It's very wonderful. It seems very functional. I can't wait till the season, officially starts here in the US and Canada, so we can all really jump on and use it and play with all the features and watch the businesses come online, watch everybody come online. And before we do any final plugs, tell you where to find it, how to get it, what to do, there's one more story I'd like you to tell. It has nothing to do with Communiski, but in one of your emails, you said your wife did most of her first run in a blood wagon and it was your fault. What does?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that my wife learned to ski as an adult. The first winter after we got together, I took her on our first ski trip. She had a lesson in the morning, just on the sort of tiny little bunny slope, and I met up with her and she was doing awesome, so I thought I'll take her up to do a proper green run. Now, her instructor had told her to stay on the bunny runs the afternoon and they'd move on to green runs tomorrow, but honestly, she was doing awesome, and I was like, she can do this. So up we go, and it's like the first or second corner, and it was just sort of a little cat track sort of round the mountain back down. And as she got to the edge of the cat track, she kind of panicked. She was going very, very slowly. Kind of the ski went into the edge of the run, didn't pop off, and she twisted her knee. One of those sort of real slow rotating falls. And that was it. I had to race down the mountain, go and find patrol, come back up, get her into a blood wagon, follow her down behind, thinking, because we'd only been together like 7-8 months at this point. I was like, I've blown this. She's never going to ski again. But she was an absolute trooper. She was back on snow by the end of the week. She came back out with me skiing after that. Next year we went to Jackson Hole, where she did a bunch of skiing, which is again not a good mountain for complete beginners, particularly if you're sort of a little bit more novice. And throughout, those first few years skiing, she was always very clear in reminding me, look, I just want you to know I'm never going to enjoy the terrain that you start skiing. I love skiing. I want to keep skiing, but I'm probably never going to be up doing double blacks. And then on that road trip I did with my buddy, Tamsin had to work back in the UK, so she came out for a couple of weeks and joined us, and we were at Big Sky, and she called it early for the day. We've got a friend who lives in Bozeman, and so he was showing us around the mountain, and she said, I'm going to call it for the day. I'm going to head down to the base, grab a hot chocolate, probably some tequila as well, and I'll see you in an hour or so. And so our friend gave us some instructions, which she misunderstood, and she found herself doing her first double black. But she made it down it, and now she will ski the whole mountain with me. There's nothing that well, I say there's nothing she won't ski. There's nothing that I'll ski that she won't. Okay. So yeah, no. But yeah, she took her first proper run in a blood wagon, and I really thought that might be the end of us at the time. So I was skiing behind her. I thought she is never forgiving me for this, but she did. She's awesome.
There you go, kids. True love, when you almost take her out and she'll still marry you. And clearly a ski family, a ski couple, ski bum life, road tripping, skied over 60 resorts in North America and Europe. Charlie, you seem to know what you're talking about, so it's good for you to get in and be the one building this app. So if you want to find out about it before downloading the app, you can go to communiski.com, COMMUNISKI.com. Links will be in the show notes and description. Won't be hard to find. Just put in Communiski in Google or Bing, and whatever. I don't even know the search engines anymore, but go put it in there. You'll find it also in the Google Play Store, the iOS App Store. You'll find it. Just put in Communiski, and you'll probably just put in skiing apps. I'm sure it comes up.
Yeah, you'd like to think so.
Cool. And I didn't test that, so if someone else wants to test that, I knew what I was looking for, so I just went for it. But Communiski, very easy to find, communiski.com. Anything else you want to throw out there, Charlie?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for having me on. I hope to get on the snow with you at some point. Do you ever make it out west?
Not this season, I'm not going to. Actually, I've never been out west, and the plan was to go this season, but a lot of my season's going to be in New England. So if you're going to be in New England...
Again, not this season. I've never skied the East Coast. I want to, but when I currently live out west, it's kind of difficult to get on a plane and head over that direction, or even jump in the camper and drive out that way.
No, I get it, man. I wanted to get out west this time too, and I keep looking at the calendar. I'm like, man, I'm not even going to barely be able to get past New York State, if I can even pass that this year. So we'll see. We'll get out there with Charlie though eventually. There's plenty of places. I know I'll be able to find them. I'm sure we'll be buddies here on the app.
Absolutely.
And then, next season, that should be my Canadian invasion, hopefully. Tremblant has my name on it because it's got a casino with a lift right next to the casino. I don't see how anybody could beat that anywhere in the world, but whatever. Last thing, businesses that the ski mountains and everything in town around it, is there a special place they should go to get in on this, or can they just go to communiski.com as well and find contact information and stuff like that?
So if you are a resort or work at a resort and are interested in getting on board, then just fire an email to contact@communiski.com. We just need to give you a code that you enter into the app, and that will give you admin access to your resort. For fairly obvious reasons, we're a little bit careful about who we give those out to. We don't just make it too easy. If you are a local business, there's a good chance that we've already got your business in Communiski. We used some open source listings to populate, and there's probably nearly 50,000 businesses in ski towns already loaded into Communiski. So just find the business, and then in the top right corner of the business page, there's a menu, and on that there's a claim this business link. And you click that, and it'll allow you to claim ownership of the business, which will then allow you to set up the branding and start adding your products and your services, and gives you just sort of a bit more access than otherwise. If the business isn't in there, then you can just add the business. Anyone can add a business, and at the end of that process, there's a checkbox that says I own or work at this business, and if you check that, then it will give you admin permissions of the business when it gets created.
Very good. So it's very easy. I'm sure they can help you out if you need help. Get your businesses in there. I foresee this being a big to-do. So get your businesses out there, get them in there. Like Charlie said, the core functionality isn't going to cost you anything. So if you like it, great, keep going. That's awesome. Like I said, you might see SkiRex Media pop up there. You never know. Also, Facebook and Instagram, Communiski, the usual places. Contact through that. Contact us link on communiski.com about everything you need. Go to the website, go into your app store, get the app. Everything's there. Easy. Charlie, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you coming on.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Dude, I hope we get out there at some point, if not this season, next season. And let's see, what else is there? Communiski, like I said, .com. Links will be in the description. Do not check the description if you are driving. That's just silly, and you'll get a ticket, and it's not cheap. Wait till you get to a parking lot and then check it if you're listening in the car. If you're just listening at home, on your phone, on your computer, wherever you listen to podcasts, because the SkiRex Media podcast is available just about anywhere you want to find it. And that includes Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, you name it, you can find me. Use the Podbean app to find it even easier. Plus, you'll have the opportunity when the loud streams start to interact, call in. Remember Call In Radio, Opie and Anthony, Howard Stern, Don Imus, remember all them? I'm going to try it too. I think that's everything for me. Also, check out patreon.com/SkiRexMedia. Check that out if you want to support the program and get early access to the podcast. Again, Charlie, thank you. I will be using Communiski, and I hope everybody else does too, man.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
And of course, you are welcome, Charlie. Charlie Walker, everyone. There he goes. Thank you to Charlie Walker for being on the podcast. Thank you to Rob Green, also at Communiski, for getting and helping set this up so we could have Charlie on the podcast. Now, before I finish up the episode here, again, I have to apologize for the audio. You hear a few little dropouts here and there, right? I mean, you got 99% of it. Few little drops. Why? Because my audio did not come out the way it should, and to fix it, to get you 99%, we lost about 1%. It sucks, and it should be ending. Yes, please bear with me as I switch recording providers, as I switch recording services for these remote interviews. Thank you. I appreciate you bearing with me, and I appreciate you enjoying the content even through the weird and odd audio issues, man. I do appreciate it. So, to close out the show, Communiski at Communiski.com, Communiski on, as we said, social media, you can find them. Charlie doesn't use it personally, as he said, and actually I really don't either. SkiRex Media's social media is far more active than Tim's social media, that's for true. Anyway, Communiski, very easy to find. Head to your app store, whether it's iOS or Android, and you should be able to find it. Now, the version I was using while I was talking during the interview was a little bit of a preview version, kind of. In any case, the full version of the app has been launched on November 18th. Now, some of you might have been busy with the Snowbound Expo down there in Boston. I was down there on Friday the 18th myself. If you were, go get the app now. I know I have it. I was only able to be out snowbound for one day, which was kind of disappointing, but things happen. Go get the Communiski app now. All the links are in the description, the show notes. Very easy to find. If I keep saying Communiski, it's going to be buried in your subconscious anyway, and you're going to want to go look for it. So go ahead and check out the app, the Communiski app. That's the one I'm going to be using. Make sure if you're using it, that your friends are using it, that you set up the groups, that people can find you on it. SkiRex Media will be able to be found on it. Encourage your local business businesses and your local ski hills to use it. That way everybody can be on the same page all the time, and it will be wonderful, right? Right. Again, thank you for joining me on the Ski Rex Media Podcast, and thank you for checking out my sponsors and partners, Whaleback Mountain, which you know about and heard at the beginning. And here at the end, let's talk about real quick Saint Skis. Saint Custom Skis and Snowboards from Gorham, New Hampshire. You have an idea that you want. You want your graphic to look a certain way. You want your width to be a certain width. You want your length to be a certain length. You want your rocker and your camber and all those other good functional terms. You want all that customized to exactly what you want. Go to saintskis.com and they will hook you up with that. You tell them what they want, what you want, and they will build them. Shout out to Saint Skis. They are building me a custom pair of Ski Rex Media skis, one of a kind. They will be on my feet for the majority of this season and every season after this, because I'm thinking they can take a beating. Saint Custom Skis and Snowboards, Gorham, New Hampshire. Check them out, man. The St. Gelais family, very awesome. Kevin and KJ. KJ will be on the podcast later in the coming weeks, later on in the season, in the coming weeks is what I was going to say. So don't forget to check that out in KJ's Top Notch Tuning. But Saint Skis, Saint Custom Skis and Snowboards, check them out if you want something custom made. Now, I think that's it for this one, everyone. I hope you had a good day. I hope you had a good weekend at Snowbound. I did have a Snowbound episode, so if you haven't checked that out yet, please do so. At least I think I did. You see, this is Tim who hasn't gone yet. This is actually Thursday, and I'm talking like I have gone, but let's be honest. Let's be honest with the recorded podcast. I'm going tomorrow, and I think I had a podcast about it, at least a recap, maybe something written. Go ahead and check that out. Ski Rex Media on social media, skirexmedia.com. All that stuff very easy to find. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the ski season. It's been snowing here in New England. Finally, the mountains are starting to open up. It's going to be a good one, and I will see you out there, and you'll be able to find out where I'm skiing on the Communiski App. See what I did there? All right, everybody, enough of this. Go check out my partners, Whaleback and saintskis.com. Wow, I made that sound like all one thing. Go check out my partners, Whaleback Mountain at whaleback.com, Saint Custom Skis and Snowboards at saintskis.com, the Communiski App, of course, and then anything else you want. And I'll check you out there. I'll see you out there. Check you later. Bye, everybody.